Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm Petter and this is James.
Hello.
And today we're talking about volume 1 of Kaiju number 8. Another series is starting. I am completely blind going into this. So I'm having so I think this is no, it's not the first time I'm going completely blind into something cuz this same thing was with Freerun where we both went in completely blind into that. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I'm just really excited to go into another series like this that I know nothing really of what's coming. But you read some of the chapters online before. How far did you read?
I was all the way to the latest chapter, and then we'd talked about covering the manga, and then we had me stop from reading. So I think there's 2 or 3 chapters that have released since then.
Gotcha.
But I
At
have
least
not
as
read
of
those.
our
So,
recording, I guess.
so yes, as of a recording, and I think that's up to chapter 50 something.
Gotcha.
So we have a little bit of ways to catch up to what I did. I think
Yeah.
6 volumes have come out in Japan
Mm,
already.
I guess. Oh,
So.
cool. So I guess about 6 or 7 volumes until we are up to where you read,
Yep.
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So this is the first time that we're in the position where I'm going in completely blind and you
Yep.
already knowing a couple of volumes ahead. So the roles have been
Oh, the
reversed here.
tables have turned.
Yes. No, but I'm very happy about this. I'm very excited to go in blind into another story like this. Plus, I very much enjoyed this first volume. I'm just just
Yeah.
some basic first impressions. I really enjoy this story so far. I think I heard about this story first pretty much exactly a year ago, or like about a year ago. I started hearing about this manga, although I didn't really check it out back then. But I heard about it in relation to Attack on Titan, because I
Hmm.
think probably some comparisons can be made
Yeah.
with the protagonist, becoming a giant monster to fight the other giant monsters, kind of. I went into it like a little bit afraid that it might be trying to copy Attack on Titan a little too much or
Oh,
something like
really?
that. Like
Hmm.
that's kind of the impression I had from what I'd heard before. But I didn't get that feeling at all when I actually read the
Yeah.
story. So I was
No.
I was very happy
Hmm.
with that. It definitely feels like its own thing. I mean, obviously it's like a shonen story, like
Right.
pretty typical with that, going into
Hmm.
like kind of a training arc here, it seems like, and all that. But it's unique enough, and I like the characters that were introduced, and I really enjoyed the
Yeah.
the art as well.
Hmm.
It's actually like sometimes it reminded me of Hiromu Arakawa's art in Full Metal Alchemist. Like some
Oh.
of the character designs
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
some of the characters felt kind of in that vein, as well as some like face expressions and stuff. So I thought that was
Hmm.
pretty cool. I mean, I would assume Matsumoto, who does Kaiju number 8, maybe is a fan of Full Metal Alchemist. I mean, I would assume so. I think it's
Who isn't?
right. um, and actually, speaking of that, I think it's like because there or like between some of the chapters in the physical book, there were like pretty brief little character bios, and the character bio for Ichikawa, it said that he likes shonen manga. That was one of the things he
Ah.
likes, because they all had like a little list of things they like. He likes shonen manga as well. So anyway, that's it. I guess that's just kind of my just very kind of scatterbrained initial thoughts on the book before we going into talking about the characters one by one. Uh, what do you think? Or kind of how did you discover this manga?
I had heard from other people that it was overrated and that it
Mm.
was only popular in Japan, but the popularity would die out soon.
Ah,
And so I was like, oh, well, didn't even bother reading it. But I was just looking through the Shonen Jump app, just at what was coming out. And I thought, you know what? Why not? I'll give it a shot. And I definitely didn't regret it. I read through the story and enjoyed a good amount of it. I think I enjoyed it even more, at least volume one, with this read through, which I guess tends to happen on this podcast.
yeah,
Um, but I just found a lot more uh, things to like about it.
awesome.
And I think it's a solid story going forward. And I could definitely see it being a show that's animated at some point.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. I got that vibe too. Like it seems. Yeah, I think it has a good possibility for that.
Yeah.
And also I would like to just give an initial rating, at least of just the first volume. For me,
Sure.
is a 7 out of 10. So I'm definitely enjoying it,
Hmm.
and well, I'm excited to continue. I thought this this volume ended it on an interesting note. So I'm just stoked to read on. I think volume 2 comes out in English in April, although so does also volume 7 of Spy Family and volume 22 of Kaguya-sama. So we're getting a lot in April. So we might not get to covering volume 2 of this until May perhaps, but well, we shall see.
Yeah.
Excited nonetheless to continue this eventually.
I think for me, it's after this read through, I think it's an 8. At least the volume 1 is. I really enjoyed what I saw. It's not groundbreaking in ways, but what is done here and just the blend of awesome shots and the world that he builds. I mean, it's Japan, but with kaiju, and
Yeah.
and the comedy is just a great combination, I think, and I really enjoyed it. It's a strong start, in my opinion.
Absolutely. So then, let's talk about Kafka Hibino first. Age 32. First of all, it's cool to have a shonen protagonist who's like
Right?
older than a teenager.
Yeah.
And like by quite a bit even in this case.
He's not an old man though. Don't call him an old man.
No, do not. Yeah. Yeah, I just think that's really cool. Plus, I also really like the message that I think at least this volume. I don't know if it's gonna, or I could imagine this being like something that's elaborated on more in the future of the series. But at least this volume definitely conveys messages of your age shouldn't stop you from following your dreams, basically.
Yeah.
And I really like that message. And I think obviously that message couldn't really be told as efficiently if the protagonist was younger.
Agreed.
So yeah, this is awesome. But yeah, again, by no means is he an old man. 32 is not old by any means.
But I understand. It's kind of also brought to the point that his body does not, I guess, react the same way as some of the younger bodies. Like,
Yeah.
he says like the 30s is where your body really starts going downhill or something like that. And I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe it just depends on the person. But I mean, going up against young spry folk, it's probably not as easy to perform in the same way.
Right.
Then again, there's a lot of like American football players who are in their 30s who are still just as good as the younger ones. So it all depends. It all depends. But
absolutely, yeah, definitely.
I do understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, and he works at Monster Sweeper Inc.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny to have the protagonist working with just cleaning up kaijus off the street, or at least he does before the story, or at the beginning of the story here.
Right.
And like even looking like it's looking like he's gonna join the defense force, obviously, like somehow, moving forward from here, at least so I'm guessing. And so even though he might leave his old job, it's still, I think it's really cool for him to, I guess, come from that kind of a background, because I think it's it means that he has a pretty unique perspective compared to other people on the defense force. Where we did get an example of that during that combat exam, where he knew their weaknesses in a way that they didn't, and stuff like that. So I still think that's really cool.
I think that helps, set him apart from the rest of the recruits in that way.
Yeah.
Having that knowledge is something that usually gained just through combat, but he is able to learn it through dissecting the bodies like he does.
Yeah, and I'm also hoping that he might, like, even perhaps compared to some of the veteran fighters, that he might still have a unique perspective even compared to them in some way. Maybe not specifically the way that we saw it here, because obviously now it was maybe a bit of a more basic level, but it would be nice to see that being useful in even more crucial moments, perhaps, in the future.
Agreed. And I just talking about the cleanup work. I really like that concept where a lot of times you don't see the aftermath of a kaiju battle. Godzilla and Trogdor go through the Trogdor's not right, but they go through the city and destroy everything. And then what happens next? I like the aspect of cleaning up the monsters, like somehow taking them apart or whatever. And it's kind of a fascinating thing. And then in this volume, it goes away from that. I would really like for them to come back to it eventually. Although it's kind of hard to do with the way the story is going here. So I'm not so sure about that. But I do think it does play into, like we were saying, Kafka's character and just some of his, I guess, positives or the merits he brings to the defense force in that way.
Definitely.
But yeah, I think it's a unique aspect you don't really see in other stories.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's fun. It's nice. It's nice to see that side.
Can you imagine having to take care of intestines?
Oh, it was so funny how it was just censored out like when they were working on that. But yeah, it is a funny series. It really is a funny series. I think I laughed
Yeah.
many times while reading through this volume. It's pretty great. Also, these combat suits that they use in the defense force. I was thinking, well, because Kafka obviously he couldn't utilize it whatsoever. He was at 0%, which was supposedly unheard of before that.
Uh-huh.
So it's like obviously it's funny, but also it's like kind of you feel kind of bad for him.
Right.
But there was also that moment like a little before that in the story when he saved Reno's life by jumping in front of the Yoju that appeared.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I thought in that moment he was very much on top of it and performed very well. Kind
Mm.
of he was level headed and he kind of held his own for a bit. So I don't know. I guess these combat suits might just be like way like many levels beyond being able to do the kinds of things that he did.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I don't know. I'm excited to see more of that, and I guess see him potentially be able to use those in the future, maybe.
Right. So for me, I wonder if his, kaiju form is affecting that whole thing. Interfering with the body, because
Oh
he's trying
yeah.
to suppress the kaiju form. He
Oh,
he suppresses even his just strength in general, and so maybe that the
true.
the the measurement is off because of that. I don't know.
Mm,
I have no idea,
gotcha.
but
Yeah, that's
maybe
interesting
that's a
because
thought.
he did say at some point that he needed to keep the kaiju kind of restrained, or like I can't remember exactly the words he used, but there was a point in the manga or in this volume where he said something about having to put some kind of effort in to not make it slip out.
Yeah,
So I guess that could be the case then if yeah, that would be interesting.
potentially.
Yeah, definitely,
And
definitely.
something that we don't know is, uh, I feel like it's implied that he may have not ever got past the first round of examinations, which was the written test part, until now.
I
So
think so, maybe, yeah.
he's probably never put the suit on before. So this is his first time doing that.
Hmm.
But he had already been taken over, I guess, by the kaiju thing.
Yeah.
So we don't know if what his previous number would have been like, or if it was the same or not.
Ah, you're right. Oh yeah. True. If he had put the
Is
suit on
what I'm
before.
thinking. Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
True. True. That could have been. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a good possibility.
So just giving more evidence to that.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, especially since it was, as I said, it was supposedly unheard of to have the score that low or
Yeah,
the number that low.
yeah.
Um.
Oh, this is unheard of. Well, I'm sure it means nothing. It'll mean something.
Yeah.
That's a bit, tropey a bit. But
Right.
it, if it turns out to be anything, I'll still enjoy it, I'm sure.
Yeah. Right. Right. Plus, I think in that moment it was a funny gag too, kind of.
Oh yeah,
Even though obviously,
hilarious.
I think there is more to it than just the gag, but at least it was the gag.
Yeah.
And but yeah, and speaking of his kaiju form, like what the hell was that? Like when he was at the hospital and that buzzing kaiju appeared,
Yeah,
and
man.
like it spoke, and then and after that I was a little bit confused. Or so the first time I read that chapter or that part, I thought that Kafka grabbed it and ate it just for some reason that he actually actively ate it. But the second time I read it, like most recently, I
Hmm.
more so thought that it kind of forced itself into Kafka's mouth, and that's how it ended up there.
That's what I think too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mm.
what's interesting? It says I found you, and I didn't think too much about it when I first read it. But when you're going through your notes, rereading it, that's you kind of can't ignore that. I found you. What does that even mean? Like,
Right.
why this 32-year-old man? Nothing wrong with being 32, but why him? Like, what's so special? So is there more to Kafka than meets the eye?
Mhm.
Um, or does this kaiju happen to know him from somewhere
Right.
somehow?
Uh-huh.
Maybe he helped him out while cleaning up the intestines. Like, oh, you saved me from the intestines. I'll give you this power. I doubt that's what it is, but
Yeah, I don't know. Like, also the first time I read it, I sort of theorized, or like I thought that something happened when he was encountering the kaiju when Ichikawa ran away to sound the alarm, and he was alone with
hmm
that kaiju that appeared. Like that maybe it. I don't know if like it drooled on him or something that made something like did something to him or something like that. I don't think that's the case anymore though. But that was a like some kind of speculation I had at
mm,
first, but I don't think there was anything like that.
hmm
So yeah, like it's a
Well,
big mystery that I'm excited to see kind of what comes of this.
yeah, same.
Just so weird, just so random kind of. Just suddenly there's a fucking buzzing kaiju there that's not only speaks but also just flies right into his mouth. It's like, what?
I just like, yeah, I'm gonna go back and try again. I'm gonna reach my goal. It's gonna be great. It's like, not today. Well, or maybe need some help with that. Like
Gotta wait 3 months.
I gotta wait through. Uh,
Yeah, that was weird. But it does give him super strength and also the ability to kind of change his kaiju's form. Well, his kaiju can change forms, supposedly, at least to some extent,
yeah,
as
yeah.
we saw when they were running away. And I wonder, well, I imagine he will be able to control that better in the future. So, like, there's those kinds of abilities that he got, plus the ability to detect other kaiju, which was also a pretty neat.
Yeah, that's useful.
Yeah. So yeah, it's fun to kind of at least from what I understood, those are the powers that we know that he gained now,
hmm
at least that he has right now. So it's good to know.
I speaking just of the kaiju itself, its design is so cool. I think.
Yeah.
I really like it. I mean, it looks kind of armor like, but also like uh, like a monster in a way,
Hmm.
like a living being. Um, so it's cool in that sense, but also I don't know. Like I guess it wasn't also. It's just cool.
No, but it is. But also, the combat suits that they use in the defense force are. They said something about like kaiju fibers or something like that in them, if I
hmm
recall. So I'm guessing they're made out of kaiju parts in some way, uh,
I think so.
like to some extent. Yeah. Um, and then I guess, well, so I had the thought that if Kafka never is able to use those suits ever, as he is right
hmm
now, then
hmm
just turning into his kaiju form should do the trick. It should be at least just as effective. I would guess.
Oh, I mean, yeah. With the way it punched the Yonju or whatever it was that
Yeah.
creature and
Uh
just
huh.
obliterated it, it makes me think it might be even stronger
Yeah, yeah. Or I mean,
than those
I,
suits.
I wonder like at what percentage of the suits are do you match him? Like, or,
Oh,
or or can you even match him? Like, is 100% of the suit's power enough to match him?
yeah. I don't
Or
know.
like I don't know,
Good question.
but it might be possible to match him potentially.
hmm
Um,
hmm
but yeah,
Yeah.
like I think out of the characters, or at least out of what we've seen, or well, I would guess Mina is probably the strongest we've seen, maybe. I guess we don't know for sure, but she is like a captain, so I would guess she's
Yeah.
really powerful. Like she probably has higher percentage than Kikoru. I would guess
Oh yes, yes, she does. Yes,
she
yes, she
should,
does.
right? Like,
hmm
um, so I wonder
I think
what
they even mentioned that in the.
did they give a number for her?
They didn't give a number, but I think that for a recruit, they say that
Mm.
um, Kikoru is really high, but she's not quite the level of. She's just like kind of below the level of Mina, which is impressive to
Mm.
begin with. But
Yeah, well, yeah, right. So I wonder, I guess, where Mina's power level is compared to Kafka's kaiju form.
yeah,
Uh,
good question.
I could imagine they might be kind of close, maybe.
Maybe. So have you read the There's a certain point where they mention the numbering system. Was that not in the physical version?
Like a list of the compiled numbers, or
No. Here, let me see if I can find it. Okay, kaiju numbering. When a kaiju proves to be extremely powerful or difficult to neutralize, the Neutralization Bureau assigns it a numbered code name for identification purposes. Hence why Kafka's kaiju is kaiju number 8. So, because of that, I feel like he's so powerful, at least according to the Bureau's assessment, that it exceeds even Mina.
Ah,
But I could be wrong.
fair. Although they haven't fought with him, like they haven't really seen him up close. They've kind of only
Right, yeah, you're right.
heard of
Yeah.
him. But
Mhm.
but that is a good point though. Should be fun to find out just kind of where they are compared to each other.
Oh man, could you imagine Mina and Kafka fighting each other?
Oh my! I want to see this. I want this in the next volume.
Well, I
Yeah.
guess because we're still talking about Kafka. Speaking of that, they're both childhood friends, and they
Mhm.
shared a dream
Yeah.
that they would both join the what did they call them? Not the self defense,
Defense Force.
defense force. Yeah,
Mm.
be become troops in that, and that they would be together, no matter
Yeah.
how corny that may have sounded. Um,
Yeah.
and it's amazing for Mina that she's accomplished her dream supposedly, but it sucks so bad to be on the other side of that.
Yeah.
Kafka just sitting at home drunk, and he's like, "Yeah,
Mm.
this is the life." I
Yeah,
you
that was
do
honestly
feel bad for him.
that was a sad end to that scene where he's home and he's like, yeah, I'm content. I got
Yeah.
a good apartment and I can afford all the food I need or I want anything I want. And then you see like it's like a really tiny apartment and he's just got a bunch of beer cans on the sink like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that's tough, especially when someone that you grew up with is realizing the dream that you both had, and you're just kind of
Hmm.
in a job that maybe not is not very appealing.
And it's a literal shit job.
Yeah, literally. So yeah, you do feel for Kafka in that way, and then it makes you want to cheer for him as he decides to go for that goal again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love like how this volume like seeing Kafka his motivation grow throughout this volume and
Mm-hmm.
because it definitely he started out off like very much at the bottom but at the end
Yeah.
he's doing much better it seems and at the very least he's on his way there so that was awesome and on that it was also mentioned in the character bio for Kafka which was between two of the chapters that one of the things that he likes is smoking but he apparently he quit smoking when he
Oh.
started trying for the defense force.
Ah.
So
Yeah.
good for him.
Smart move.
Yep,
Move.
absolutely. And yeah, just the very end of this volume is just an awesome ending, and yeah, for him to reveal his kaiju in order to defend Kikoru makes me very hyped for the next book.
Yeah. I wonder how the defense force is gonna take it. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Because they were worried about him and Reno were worried about showing the kaiju form, so it makes me think that they're not gonna accept it very well. I don't know. What do
Yeah.
you think?
I mean, so I'm pretty confident that he's somehow going to end up with them one way or another. Like,
Okay.
I don't know. It might take time. It might be really dramatic, but somehow he's gonna make it in there, and he's going to work with them. And they're gonna realize that his kaiju form is actually gonna be able to help them make progress and stuff. Is what I'm thinking. But yeah, it's probably going to be very, be difficult at first.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like it's like it's kind of like, well, I guess I shouldn't talk too much about Attack on Titan, but I can't help but like make kind of comparisons. I imagine it might be like a little bit of a similar thing. I'm not going to go into detail.
Yeah,
there about
I know what
Attack
you're
on Titan,
talking
but
about.
if you know, you know.
Yeah.
Kinda.
You mentioned earlier the comparisons to Attack on Titan, and I did not really see much when I was going through it, but now that we talk about it, because it wasn't in my mind, but now that you bring that up, I'm kind of like, oh, wow, I guess there are some comparisons to be made. But different tone
Oh
and
yeah, oh yeah.
just I guess in general story. I feel like,
Hmm.
um, but yeah, one more instance I think that you could argue is a comparison to Attack on Titan is when Kafka saves the little girl and her mom from being eaten by a titan. I mean a kaiju. I
Yes.
mean, it
Yeah.
kind of screams first, second chapter of Attack on Titan a little bit.
Oh yeah. Oh, I
Um,
definitely also thought of that, like with the mother lying under the
yeah.
debris and the child, yeah, trying to help or doing something to help them,
Mm-hmm.
and she and her and the mother telling the child to get away from there again. Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
very very
Yep.
similar to that. I could see that being like an intentional reference. I could definitely imagine that.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like where was Kafka when Aaron's mom got eaten by a titan?
uh,
Yeah, but yeah, no, that was an interesting bit though.
yeah. So I thought the second chapter of this volume was hilarious. I honestly, I was laughing because he had just transformed into the kaiju
Mm.
and just all sorts of wacky things, or just not understanding his powers or who he was, and that
Yeah.
the one says like, "Oh, I gotta try to calm down this old man." He tries smiling. He looks like Venom there,
Yeah.
so many other hilarious moments throughout that chapter, and the volume had a lot of good ones too. But that chapter in particular was just really made me laugh.
Yeah, I think for me, like the best part in that chapter is when they're running away, and he like as they're running, he just keeps shape shifting, and like all these weird things is coming out of his head, and like and he's grabbing a crow from a lion and eating it, and he's like just like, wow, I'm eating a bird alive. It's just really funny.
I think what got me was just the bathroom part.
Oh yeah.
I could never be a pride.
Yeah, yeah, no, that was absolutely great.
I think that's all I have on Kafka.
Yes, yes, me too. Then let's move on to Kikoru Shinomiya.
All right.
Her lucky number is 5. Actually, I don't know if I had anything on that, but her lucky number is 5. I I wonder if that's gonna come back into play again. But maybe not. Probably not. Unless
I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
but we learn her mother is dead, and she's being raised by her cold and pretty distant father, who, or at least he seems like that from what we saw.
Yeah.
And he only expects perfection out of her, and he doesn't really seem too pleasant.
He's the commander, apparently.
Exactly, yeah, like the director general of the defense force,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, she seems very very eager to prove herself to him, kind of.
Yeah.
Which is, well, it doesn't seem like a good dynamic, like relationship that they have. It doesn't seem like it to me. Like, it seems kind
Yeah.
of unhealthy.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But I'm interested in seeing more of, I guess their relationship as father and daughter, and
Absolutely.
yeah, because I will say she's definitely one. Like, she's probably my number 2 character as far as like my interest in the characters in the story so far. After Kafka.
I think that's fair. Reno's good, and
Mm.
Mina's a interesting thing, but Kikoru had a little more going on, and we got some of her backstory there. So I'd say, yeah, definitely the second most interesting character for me as well.
Mm.
She's got a lot of pressure on her shoulders, kind of the
Right.
weight of the world, um, in a way. High expectations from her father. And then her mother has passed away as well, as they mentioned, which was kind of
Yeah.
a bomb out of nowhere. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not only is her father very cold to her and kind of, demands incredibly high expectations, her mother is dead too. Great.
She kind of sounds like another Shinomiya that we know in a different manga.
Yeah. So many references.
I hope we're not going overboard. But yeah, she slays kaiju for a hobby, so that's pretty cool. Although when you take into consideration that she's only doing it to kind of appease her father, then it's not as cool, really. But she is badass nonetheless, and she has learned to kind of sniff out kaiju's too, supposedly, or at least she could smell kaiju on Kafka, which was pretty funny.
Yeah. Going back to what you said about her doing this as a hobby.
Oh yeah.
I generally think she has some enjoyment. Well, enjoyment to like she wants to be this hope and light for the future. Like, she wants that for herself.
Mm.
But I also agree that the pressure she has for her father is not completely healthy. So it would be nice to have some closure in that sense.
Right.
But I do think her using her talents in this way is exceptional, and
Oh yeah.
it's really cool to see the gap that she has between her and basically everybody else in the
Yeah.
recruits.
Right. Yeah. She's like more than double the number on the combat suits than any of the other
Yeah.
recruits or the trainees. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
So would you call her a tsundere?
Mm,
Is that her, or is there another word for it? I guess she's definitely kind of spoiled, right?
uh,
Maybe.
well, I mean, I guess in a sense, since she has one of these suits like for herself since before this
Hmm.
whole thing, and she comes. I mean, yeah, I would guess her father is rich, and he may have spoiled her with those sort.
Hey, she has a
Well,
butler.
some of those sorts of things. Butler. Yeah, true. She has a butler. His name was like Sebasu or something like that. I think she said, which got me thinking: is that a nod to Black Butler, where the butler's name is Sebastian? I don't know. I don't know. It was just a thought that came to mind. Again, another different IP that we're mentioning. Anyway, I don't know. Like maybe spoiled to some extent, although definitely not spoiled with love, or at least I don't think so.
Well, no. Yeah, no.
um, but I didn't get tsundere vibes from her exactly. Although I really love her sass,
Yeah,
and I also love her twin tail hairdo.
yeah. Saw that coming. No. There's a word for it though. Not the love for twin tails, but
There should be.
there should be the sassiness that she has. Because you're right. It's not quite tsundere.
Yeah, because I don't feel like she's showing any like vague hints of affection. Because I feel like with tsundere, like
Well,
there's like a
yeah.
vague hint of affection beneath the facade of sassiness or whatever. But I don't feel like that from her, at least not right now.
Well, I guess to clarify, like, affection as in like love interest, I don't think so.
Oh, not necessarily love. Like I
Okay,
think it
okay.
could be, yeah, just any other kind of liking. But I didn't really get that from
Mhm.
her. I
Okay.
don't, like, at least not in this volume. Maybe that's
So
something
then,
that could appear though.
no. Well, that's my problem. Is like I don't. My vocabulary is limited. That I don't
Mm.
know. I don't think I could describe the girl stereotype very well.
I mean, there are a bunch of these like blank dere like words in Japanese.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not that good at them either. Tsundere is really like the
Mm.
most famous one, and the only one that I know well. Although yeah, she might fit into one of those other ones though, potentially.
Yeah. I will look it up later, and then I
Yes.
will educate.
Awesome. But yeah, no, I love her design. Like, it's not just the hair. I have established before that yes, I am a sucker for twin tails. It's not just the hair though. I like, I think she's got, just in general, I like her character design a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a good design.
for sure. So yeah, she's awesome.
That's all I have.
Yeah, me too. Then let's talk about Reno Ichikawa next.
Nice kid.
Yeah. I was iffy on him at first.
Yeah, exactly. Same here.
But he definitely grew on me. I really like his mindset on like never giving up. Like I think that's awesome, and he really motivates Kafka as well. Like
Yeah.
he's a great motivation for him. So yeah,
He's a
like,
bit harsh, especially at the beginning.
yeah.
But I respect his personal resolve and all that.
Mhm.
And then his change from kind of disinterest to admiring Kafka is kind of nice.
Absolutely, yeah, I like that, and it made sense too. Like I didn't feel like it was rushed or like hastened or anything like
Right.
that. I felt like it made sense with everything that happened, and it was fun to see. It was fun to see their kind of character relationship grow, like
Yeah.
from the nose plugs drama to the end of the volume where Kafka is riding on Reno's shoulders. It was a great progression there. I really like that. Oh, also, actually, I would say Reno, he's a total, or at least was a total tsundere. Or at least he gave off those vibes when he was like, hey, you should sign up for the defense force. Not like I care or anything, but, you
Yeah,
know,
that. Yeah, definitely tsundere.
like, yeah, I would say he's more of a tsundere than Kikoru.
He seems to be kind of average-ish. I mean, not bad, but he's not in the high class of recruits
Oh, yeah.
compared to others. So I think that he has potential, but
Mm.
the ceiling is even high for him. It feels like.
Right, yeah, and I mean, yeah, and they also mentioned that this year the trainees or the recruits are on average much better than they usually are. It seemed like
Mm.
so he might be kind of. I mean, yeah, I mean, I got the impression that he's doing really well. It's just there's others that are doing better.
Agreed. But like, yeah, exceptional kind of thing.
Yeah, oh yeah, totally. But let's talk about Mina Ashiro next then. Kafka's childhood friend and one of the top captains of the defense force. And she has a freaking tiger as a pet. Like,
So cool.
wow.
I guess when you're the star of Japan, the face of a big company like that, you can do whatever the heck you want.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, no, she seems to like feline animals, I guess, because she had a cat. I
Mm,
think that was implied that she had a cat that died in a kaiju attack when they were kids,
yeah,
and so she got a tiger instead.
love it. Definitely one of those strong silent types. Although
Right? Yeah.
it feels like when, at least in the flashbacks, it felt like she was a little more talkative
Mm.
and maybe even happier looking than she is as an adult. Maybe it's
Right.
because she's more comfortable opening up to Kafka when they were younger. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm really excited to see kind of where they are right now. Like when they meet, I'm hoping to see them interact in the next volume. So I'm excited to see how that's gonna go. Because I mean, I imagine it's probably been many years since they last talked. Uh, and I had the
I get the feeling.
uh,
I get that feeling too.
right, right. And so I had the thought that what if maybe she is
Hmm.
well I think I got a pretty clear vibe that she's upset at Kafka
Oh yeah,
for not joining the defense force with her.
she called him a liar
She called him a liar, exactly. So
in
like
her
that
personal
was kind of
life.
the big giveaway I think for that. But also as you mentioned, kind of her like kind of new demeanor as we've seen like of her as an adult is
Mm,
more kind of quiet, not as cheerful perhaps as she was as a kid.
yeah,
Maybe that's because she misses him or something. Like maybe she wishes like she's somehow a a little bit sad that he isn't with her. Maybe, um,
yeah.
and I don't know. Perhaps she could change, or like cheer up a bit. I guess if he if they start getting closer again. I don't imagine it to be like an instant switch, of course, but I think it could make for a fun character progression eventually.
I would definitely love that.
Mm.
For sure. Just in general, I want to find out more about her,
Yeah,
and I guess
yeah,
that extends to your point, having some sort of interaction between the two that's more than just potentially looking in their general direction. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, totally.
Um, so yeah, hopefully they can have a chance to talk, and then maybe we get to find out how Mina got to that point,
Mm.
um, and whatnot. She's definitely a character I'm looking forward to learn more about.
Exactly, because she's clearly an important character.
Yeah,
Like I think that much is clear. But you're right. There we don't really know much about her. Like she hasn't had much
exactly.
screen time kind of or panel time.
Like right now, it's more she's more just a, a goal mark for Kafka,
Yeah.
and she has her own character too. But
Mhm.
or you can't really say. I mean, I guess you can't even say she has a character. Like she's just kind of a
Yeah. Right. We haven't seen much.
attainable goal.
Yes. Which is fine for now. It's still early in the story.
Sure. Oh yeah, it's still early in
Mm.
the story, and I just hope they don't leave it like that. You know
Oh,
what I
oh,
mean?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely, definitely. Yeah, because that was actually something. Actually, quickly on that, that was something I thought of when they were going over all of the recruits or like the people that are applying to, well, yeah, for the defense force. Kikoru was the only girl there. At least I think so. I didn't see anybody else. I think everybody else were guys, and I was like, so and I suppose that's to be expected from this kind of story, perhaps, maybe, or well, not necessarily, of course, but I guess it's not unheard of to have a majority of male characters, but I guess I would have liked to see more female characters. However, the female characters that are in the story, being, well, at least, yeah, so far, being Mina and Kikoru, they both seem to be very strong characters, or at least they have potential for being very strong characters. So I'm at least I'm happy about that, even though there are few, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, literally they're strong, but also I think Kikoru has, strong as in a solid character development, solid growth, and everything.
Right.
I feel like that she has potential, and Mina, like there could be something there, but we just haven't quite seen it yet. So
hmm
despite the fact that she's incredibly strong and highly respected, there's not much to her character at this point in time, I feel.
Right. Although I do feel I do feel pretty hopeful based on what we've seen from the other characters like Kafka and Kikoru. I think had good development throughout this one first book. So I think Matsumoto has good. Well, he can write good characters. I think. So I think
Yeah.
there's good hope for Mina. Plus, I think it seems pretty clear to me that he's building up something with her based on the flashbacks that we've seen throughout this volume
Yeah.
and those sorts of things. So yeah, I'm hopeful about that.
I can get behind that.
Mm.
And you know me. I like black hair, and I think
Yes.
she's very attractive. I totally forgot about that bathtub scene, by the way. So rereading through, I was like, holy crap! Oh, is it getting steamy in here, or is it just me? And
Maybe it's just the water, just really hot water.
it's really hot water. So magic water that's not see through. Thank goodness.
Yeah, right. Yes. No, that I think I should have expected this. She is the same age as Yoru in Spy Family.
Oh.
There I go mentioning
Yeah.
another manga.
Yeah. Dang it.
And she's also black haired.
Yeah.
And also one of James's waifus.
I like it.
Anything more on her?
No, that's it.
Cool. Then let's talk about Soshiro Hoshina a little bit, the vice captain under Mina. So, well, I had one major thing really on him is that,
Okay.
or it's not really that big. It's a little thing. I'm a bit worriy of this guy. Like
Oh.
it's possible he might just be a completely good guy, and I'm just misjudging him right now. I could see that completely possible. But I sort of got the feeling that he might be after Mina's position.
Oh, really?
Because he made a comment when he said, I think it was when the kaijus kind of were resurrected and they noticed that their vital signs were coming back. He mentioned that like there's only one person that can fix this or something, and that's or maybe he didn't say one person. There's only someone blah 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 who can fix it, and that's Mina or me. He said like as in like an extra thing that he was at it, or me. And he kind of looked in her direction with eyes that made me a bit worried. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but I guess what I'm fearing a little bit potentially is that he might do something drastic to get her position or something like that. So yeah, I'm keeping an eye on him.
Gotcha. Yeah, he does kind of have like the squinty eyes going on, and he also does laugh a lot. Like maybe he's hiding his intentions behind the joking around. I mean,
Right.
it's not really he's not even really joking around per se. He's just more like the situation in front of him he just finds hilarious.
Yeah, he's just kind of scoffing at Kafka.
Yeah. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
But not much. But it's interesting that he, like you were saying, he says Mina or him could be the ones to take down that level of a kaiju.
Right.
So supposedly, at least according to him, he's pretty good. Like he's strong.
Yeah, right, right.
I mean, that remains to be seen.
True, true. Then I guess so. The next one I want to talk about is the kaiju that appeared at the combat trial,
Oh yeah, yeah,
or the
yeah.
combat examination. Uh, I wrote down in my notes. I noted it down as the hat kaiju. I didn't know how else to refer to it.
Doesn't it doesn't kind of look like a mushroom, like
Oh,
the top
mushroom. Mushroom might be
of
better
of the
actually.
head.
Yeah, yeah. To me, I felt like a top hat or something like that. But
Yeah.
mushroom might actually be better. So yeah, let's call him the mushroom kaiju. I like that more. So yeah, yeah. It spoke. It was the second kaiju we saw that spoke,
Yeah.
and I thought it showed like it definitely showed clear signs of intelligence, and it was able
Mm-hmm.
to resurrect. We saw it being able to resurrect dead kaiju, and also increase their power even,
Yeah. What the
which was like,
freak?
wow, okay. uh,
That's unfair.
and yes, and it also, to some extent at least, seemed to be able to kind of control them.
Mm.
Or at least kind of stop them from doing things when he didn't want them to do things, and then be like, okay, go eat, like have a feast or whatever.
Mm.
Like, yeah. So with powers like that, it seems like a pretty powerful foe. But I'm happy to see like an intelligent enemy like that, because I guess that was something I was a little worried about up until that point. Was like, are the kaiju's just gonna be the only threat? Like, is it just gonna be these big monsters with seemingly no intellect opposing humanity?
Mm-hmm.
But with this guy, it seems like there's gonna be there's more to it. And also, I think with the weird kaiju that went inside of Kafka,
Right.
uh, there seems to be stuff beneath the surface that I guess we're not aware of yet. But yeah, yeah, he was a very welcome surprise to me when I saw that kaiju guy.
For sure. It makes it much more engaging than just humans fighting brain dead giant monsters. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where they're gonna go in the story with having an intellectual monster like this. So
Mm-hmm.
but I think it kind of gets your imagination going. So I like that aspect, like, as you were saying.
Yeah.
But why do they appear now though? Why? What was going on before?
I had a theory, or well, okay, yeah. So I guess throughout history and stuff, I guess it's hard to, or I don't have a specific idea, but I had the idea at least why it appeared here was that it took this as kind of a chance to kill Kikoru, because she is well known as slaying kaiju, and like, she's really good at it. She's kind of made a name for herself to some extent as killing kaiju. So the kaiju would know, or at least these intelligent kaiju, like the mushroom kaiju, would know that that she's good at killing them, and so he would want her dead. Like, that would only make sense. So taking this opportunity to get at her, I think, is the reason why he's here. At least that's
Mm,
my thinking. And this is also a pretty clever situation, since they're, well, the experts are kind of at the edges of the area, so that's supposedly a bit away. Like, obviously they didn't make it
mm-hmm.
there in time. They haven't made it there yet by the end of this volume. So like there wouldn't be any kind of reinforcement coming. So it seemed like maybe a good plan for them to attack her, perhaps. Plus doing it after the sensors were gone, or
Mm,
the cameras or whatever. Uh,
yeah,
so it seemed like it was definitely planned. And since they attacked her specifically, I think she was the target.
that's fair. Yeah, I like that.
Mm. So yeah, and another kind of little speculation I have on this guy is also that maybe he's a human in kaiju form, like similar to Kafka, and that might be why he's so intelligent.
I had a similar thought.
Because he looks like he's kind of the same size as Kafka's kaiju, or roughly
Same
anyway.
size, and it's kind of humanoid too. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. So I think that's a possibility, and that
Mm-hmm.
obviously could be interesting. Because, oh yeah, 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 and it wouldn't make sense for Kafka to be the only one with this power, right? Or at least I don't. I mean,
Yeah.
well, I guess we can't know, but it would be interesting that if there were more, and if there were kind of bad guys, I guess.
Gosh.
Although I wonder why. Why would a human side with a kaiju?
I, it doesn't make sense. It's just a theory at this point, and I have no idea why they'd want to side with beings that are trying to destroy the world. Um,
Hmm.
but there is a clear difference between this guy and then the rest of the giant kaiju monsters.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely, right.
hmm.
Yeah. So yeah. I'm really enjoying these mystery aspects are interesting because we got this guy. He's full of mystery. Like he's like the main thing right now, at least to me. That's like I'm really excited to learn more. I don't expect us to learn more immediately necessarily. I
Hmm.
could see this being like kind of stretched out. We might learn more in small pieces throughout, perhaps.
Yeah,
But that guy definitely. Plus, as I said before, also the the one that turned Kafka into a kaiju. Like that one's also mysterious.
absolutely.
So yeah, I'm enjoying the mystery aspect of this manga so far.
Same, for sure. One last thing that I have for my notes is
Hmm?
Tachikawa is the base where this is at, um, the training section, I guess if you will.
Hmm.
Tachikawa is actually where I lived in Japan.
Oh,
Um, they have an American military base there called Yokota, and well, it's an Air Force base, and the Japanese Self Defense Force is also nearby. So I think this is basically my stomping grounds. I mean, I didn't recognize any of the places, but here seeing Tachikawa was like, hey, I know that place.
that's interesting. Is it close to Yokohama?
um, Not particularly. I think it's an hour or two away.
Okay. Well, that's still, I guess, semi close, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean,
But
yeah.
right. That's cool. That's really cool. It's like yeah. So I guess in this manga we're close to where you've lived, and in Vinland Saga we're somewhat close to where I live.
Doing the
It's fun.
roots, the hometown.
Yeah. Great. Was there any other character you wanted to talk about, by the way?
No, and if there was, I think it would be saved for maybe the next volume or
Hmm.
later. But I
Fair.
think I'm good.
Right. Yeah. Because there were a lot of characters mentioned. Like there was like the boss of Kafka at the cleanup place.
Mm-hmm.
There were several recruits that were named, at least out of the top ones.
Right.
And I could definitely see those becoming more prominent in future volumes.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, like in this book though, they didn't really have much, so I didn't take any notes on them. But I imagine like again, similar to Attack on Titan, I could imagine these like yeah fellow trainees becoming fellow. Well, yeah, like basically fighting alongside Kafka and the others. So could be fun. But I guess talking about predictions a little bit. I guess I have mentioned some throughout, but in general, I'm just kind of looking forward to like one of the big things is I'm looking forward to seeing just how Kafka is gonna end up working with the defense force.
Mm.
And again, I don't think it's gonna be easy necessarily, but I think it's gonna they're going to get there. I'm quite sure. And the other major thing I think for me that I want to see is Kafka and Mina meeting again and
Yeah.
talking and see or do well basically just to see how that's going to be. Should be fun.
Agreed.
And I could expect that to be a little bit difficult too. At least if there's been some time since then, which I expect there has been.
Well, yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
and I wonder, is she gonna be hurt about it?
Hmm.
Is she gonna kind of be like, "What took you so long?" kind of a situation, or
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll
Yeah,
see.
for sure, for sure.
But I agree about those two. But also, I want to. I'm excited to find out more about the mushroom kaiju if we
Oh
do
yeah,
find anything about it.
definitely. I
Yeah.
mean, something at least. Because at least, I mean, I'm assuming it's gonna basically pick up where this book left off, and so there's going to be some kind of confrontation, maybe, unless it just kind of runs away and lets them deal with a bigger kaiju there. I don't know, but yeah, yeah. But no, I'm with you. I also hope we learn at least
Hmm.
something from there.
Indeed.
But yeah, I'm really happy to be to have started this series now. Talking about this, it's been great, and I was definitely happily surprised. I'm happy it wasn't like an Attack on Titan ripoff. Definitely, it is because it isn't. I wouldn't.
No.
I wouldn't agree with anyone that says that it is. If there are people who would say that, I don't know. But yeah, no, I think it stands really well on its own, and it's engaging. I like the characters, as I said at the beginning, and I'm just excited to keep going. Plus, I've heard that, or at least I think you mentioned around the time when we decided to start covering this on the podcast, you said that there were later parts in the manga that you had read that really got you really invested, or at least more so than the beginning of the story. So I guess based on that, I guess it's only going to get better, at least at some to some degree.
Yeah, the arc that I stopped reading at really impressed me, and I was kind of not, maybe blown away is the wrong word, but it was really good. And
Nice.
I think if you liked what you saw here, I think you'll like what you saw in that later arc as well.
Sweet. I'm really excited. And yeah, I guess we're mostly done then. I guess one last thing I'll say, just to make things clear, although I guess I should have said this, or we should have said this at the start of the episode, but obviously James isn't going to spoil anything out of the stuff that he knows from the future of the manga.
Yeah.
We should have said this before.
I've been trying to keep, and so all the, I keep it in the mindset, and I'm sure Petter does the same thing when he knows about the story and I don't. I keep it in the mindset of how I would have how I would have gone into the discussion just to have only read that volume, and I even consider like things that I would have been theorizing or thought about. But if Petter says something that is either true or not, I try not to give any indication of that. But if someone who has read the manga feels like that I could have spoiled it, I don't know how you can let me know in Discord. Just be sure to put spoiler tags. But I feel like I've kind of played it safe.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel like I got spoiled on anything. Like, I didn't pick up on anything that seemed like a spoiler. So
Good.
I mean, I think that's fine in that case.
And I don't think I said anything that was spoilery.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
So.
I think it's all good. So yeah, good job. And speaking of our Discord server, there's a link in the YouTube description, or the video description on YouTube. If for anyone who wants to join our open Discord server, we have a lot of fun talking about all kinds of manga, anime, and well, anything really on there. So
yeah,
feel free to join. And if you enjoy our content, you can follow us on Twitter at Umami Manga. And it would be lovely if you'd like to support us by either rating our show on the podcast platforms or subscribing to our channel Umami Manga on YouTube. If you like this episode, please share it with anyone you think might enjoy it too. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we'll talk about Volume 2. Bye bye.
See you later. Yay!
Wow.